Hey guys, welcome to the Hitting the Curbs podcast, episode 21. And well, we got a lot of information for two motorsports on our plate. For Indycar, not that much. But NASCAR, let's review the only race out of these three that were this weekend, and that was Nashville. It started off with Reddick and Chastain claiming the front row. Reddick being able to get out early, showing dominance in stage one. But then when we got to stage two, Tyler Reddick then proceeded to lose a tire, created caution chaos. We saw 3x3 racing to start stage two with Byron, Chastain, Truex, and then the hard hit by Blaney. That was the first half of the race. But what was your guys' opening thoughts about Nashville in the first half? We saw hard hits, not that many cautions. The stages really broke it up. I would have kind of liked to see it without the stages because there really wasn't any tire wear. But what do you guys think of the first half of Nashville from before Blaney's hard hit, like from there before?
I mean, it was definitely more calm than the Xfinity race. That's for sure.
Definitely. I mean, 11 cautions before.
Yeah, like the Xfinity race had. Let me think. We had, I think out of the first 13 laps, I believe 12 or 11 were run under yellow. And that says a lot. However, the first half of the Cup race was pretty good. Honestly, this race was just overall a solid race. The restarts were crazy, as always. That 3 wide for the lead for 3 laps in a row. That was crazy.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, that was awesome to see. Ironically, it happened last season for second, and 2 of the 3 people are the same as last season.
Well, it was 2x2 as well. It was 2 rows of 3 wide.
Yeah, and last season it was Truex, Chastain, and Harvick 3 wide for second. This year was Truex, Chastain, and Byron, right?
Yep. Byron was stuck in the middle the whole time.
And ironically, they're the top 3 in points. But anyway, I think that the Blaney wreck really changed the pace of the race. Like everything was kind of messy before that, but then everyone just kind of calmed down because it was a brutal wreck and
hardest hit in the next gen car, easiest.
I mean.
What else is harder? I mean, you could say Harrison Burns wreck, but again, the wall absorbed.
Bowman of Texas, maybe.
I see where you're going to the back end, and we still don't know because again, I hate when they, interview drivers who just got in like hard hit wrecks. I know that's all part of the broadcast, but again, with Grayson, he got interviewed with a concussion. I don't even knew where he was, and we didn't find till Thursday that Grayson wasn't racing. So when are we going to find out that Blaney's all right? He can race this week, and I'm just going to throw this out.
Fine.
I do too, but who would replace him in that case? Because I would say easiest put Scott.
I'm calling up Zane Smith if I.
I think Zane Smith
would definitely be Zane or
Cole Custer because Cole Custer has the experience in the Cup Series.
I mean,
I know it's not like Cole Custer. But if you're gonna choose someone to sub, I think he's from the fourth camp. I think he's your best.
Because I mean, I know he wouldn't be that good, but
I don't think
the Penske connection.
I know, but I don't think that they would swap in that case. I do hope Blaney races, but this is just the what if,
21 would probably go to Zane Smith if that does happen.
Yeah.
But I think Blaney's fine. I think he's gonna be fine. It was a hard hit, but
hard hit. He was able to walk away.
He seemed fine to me. However, if he isn't, then I guess.
I mean, I was scared when he was getting out the car because when he got out, he went immediately to the ground.
Yeah,
he was falling, but he was trying to catch his breath.
I was taking a piss, so didn't see that part.
Oh,
it was right.
I was waking up from a nap.
I had to do the green flag run. I had to go so I could see the racing again. I booked it, man.
Yeah.
It was, I mean...
It happens to the best of us,
It happens to the best of us, for sure. But, after that wreck, we saw Truex versus Hamlin go at it. But Hamlin was mirror driving the heck out of Truex. Hamlin got the stage win, and then really after that was whoever got off the pit road first. And again, Hamlin was able to execute, battle with Truex more on the restart. Then Chastain caught Truex. And then once the last set of pit stops happened, Hamlin's pit crew really didn't execute. With Truex went a lap early, he was able to jump Hamlin, almost catch Chastain. But then after, just kind of stalled out behind Chastain. Now, I was there in person. I love the racing. And I think really reviewing a race depends if you're watching on TV. Because you got to have a constant when viewing the race, Because going in person, you're going to think any race is good. I bet if we all go to Texas Motor Speedway, we're going to think it's one of the best races we have ever seen. But
okay,
no.
what now?
But no, like you can see different battles on track the whole time. Like, you're not going to be as bored as watching on TV.
No, yeah, I get that. When I went to Homestead 2 years ago, I found the race to be amazing, and then I got home and I got told it was terrible, and I'm just like,
So I can't really put my viewpoint on this, but I do think it's been slightly overhyped just because while it reminds me of Kansas 2020. You have Logano and Harvick, and they stayed within a second of each other the whole time, but you just couldn't make the pass when the tires don't fall off that much. And now Chastain was able to do it just because he had probably the best short run car in the field. But once everything kind of evened out, Truex was going to get past Chastain. If you're side by side, you could just hold it there, side you up the heck out of the driver, and that creates good racing. But they were just stuck behind each other, so you couldn't really do anything with the dirty air if they just mirror you. And Chastain, by many drivers, is called one of the best drivers to mirror. Even Byron said that on the Action Detrimental podcast, that Chastain is one of the best drivers to mirror another driver's block the 30 air. So I still think it could have been better, but I do think it's up there for one of the definitely top 5 races of the season.
Yeah. I also wanted to comment about seeing races in person versus TV, because I went to the Portland Xfinity race in the past 2 years, and I've always felt that was like some of the best racing of the year, just because I'm there, and especially this year because I had the turn 1 seat, so I could see all the action.
Did you see the plate racing?
Are you
Did you not see the Portland Super Speedway plate race with the Formula E?
No, I didn't. I had personal matters to deal with, so
that's understandable. Everyone has to deal with personal matters. But hey, next year you already know. I'm Portland's first Super Speedway race, baby. I saw a clip. So you know how Formula E has those like boosts. It didn't even work because it would take longer to go in the boost, and since everyone's like bunched up, you would have to let off the throttle coming out of it.
Yeah.
Like you lost time. I'm not even sure anyone took it after the first lap. So
Formula E race, I watched the highlights. I sadly couldn't watch it on TV, but man, it was good. It was good. 403 passes, I think.
Wait, whoa! Hey, whoa! Bro, Formula E race? What? I didn't even hear that stat.
Yeah, 403 passes. That's more than it's more than some tracks, some races in NASCAR this season in Cup. And for example, the Formula E race was like a fourth of the length of a Cup race. And some people say, "Oh yeah, but those races are mainly road courses and short tracks." Yeah, but
you still can't pass that much on a road course.
Yeah, 4 times the length. And I feel like that's a big milestone. I mean, they got like maybe all of Monaco's passes ever in one race.
They always make Monaco really interesting. So
I mean, yeah, even Monaco this year for Formula E had, I think, 18 times more passes than an average F1 Monaco race. And
I think sorry, you can.
I feel like Formula E is just outstanding right now in terms of everything.
Yeah. And I just, and this is because, they've never gone to a purpose-built road course before, because the road courses they have, the street courses, they're kind of made for Formula E, as these road courses are made for bigger, faster cars that don't, top out as fast. So one track I would love to see him at, well, I think it'll be a phenomenal race, Coda. Just imagine The huge straightaway.
9 wide into turn 1.
Dude, turn 1's a 2-1.
Jesus.
Even on the short layout for Formula E at Coda. I think it would be a phenomenal race.
I could see him at Barber.
Barber would be good. Even I even think Lime Rock.
Watkins
Lime Rock
would be another
really
plate race.
But since we're on the topic of Formula, let's go to Formula Un. Or sorry, let's go to Formula Un. We'll put IndyCar last. But Alpha Tauri or Tauri, whatever however want to say it. I say Tauri.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore. It's switching their name next season with a whole bunch of sponsorship. So now, I think this is due to I don't think anyone's paying those expensive ass prices for Alpha Tauri gear. But I think that's why that's the main reason it's switching. But again, I don't know why you just don't sell the team at this point. I don't really see a need, Because look at what Mercedes has with Williams, right? They're not that correlated, but still they have say like Ferrari and what will now be Alfa Romeo Haas next season. They have say in that one seat, So I don't see a point of having a whole nother team. I just say sell it to Andretti. The only reason I would want them to keep the team if they don't sell it to Andretti is to have Andretti have their own team. Because I've heard there's rumors of now there being Andretti and another team wanting to enter.
High Tech.
So
yeah. So here's the thing though. If Andretti or High Tech decide to enter Formula One, they have to pay each team a certain amount of money. I know it's it's like in the millions, maybe.
Do they have
like
the base for it though? Because you have to have like a base,
I mean, yeah, but the main thing is paying every other team a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, if Andretti buys AlphaTauri, they would spend less money than if they started from scratch. So what does that mean? That Red Bull would get less money, every team would get less money. So Red Bull is like their best interest is not selling AlphaTauri.
I see
because they would get more money if Andretti simply entered. However, I can also see another point of view where if they let Andretti buy, because then that means that they're the only ones to get money, since Andretti's technically not giving money to every other team. But all of that is pretty complicated. F1 politics are it's stupid.
Don't you want more teams on the grid so more people are drawn to it? If you have more teams on the grid, more teams can battle for the championship, and everyone's like, oh, Red Bull has this, Red Bull has that. If you had more teams that could battle with Red Bull, create chaos up front, maybe you have a better shot. I just don't see. It's much better. I miss
24 cars.
Oh, I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss 2012. Bring me back.
2011 and 2012, yeah.
But we're talking about 2012, 2013. Let's go back even further. It is Indianapolis 2005, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with a tire war in Formula One.
Ugh.
Bridgestone is back, ladies and gentlemen. Was it?
I honestly like Bridgestone a lot.
Well, was it Firestone in F1 or was it
Tire
Bridgestone?
Wars.
It was Bridgestone, right?
It was Bridgestone. Yeah.
So, Pirelli is hopeful that its approach to Formula One is changing. But the current tire supply deal ends at the end of 2024, and a tender has been opened up for 2025, which competition for former Formula One supplier Bridgestone. This is off racer.com, but it's on multiple sites, including F1's own. So what do you guys think of this? Another tire battle, and this is good and bad. I think this is good because, I think this is good for teams based in IndyCar for sake that wants to go over and race in Formula One. Like Andretti, I feel like if they have backing from Bridgestone, and let's say Bridgestone gets a really good deal, right? And they say, okay, but we want to be here with this team. I feel like Bridgestone's a way to get more teams in the Formula One, 100%. But having a tire war isn't good because they're going to try to make the best tires possible as fast as possible, not looking at the safety concern,
I never thought about that whole Bridgestone to Firestone to Andretti connection. I never really thought about that.
They can bring more IndyCar teams. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking the whole time. Like Chip Ganassi Formula One team. I think that would be amazing.
I was only thinking about the negatives here of something like Indy 2005, and I just think that it would just jack up the costs even more because you gotta now bring both these tires to all these races, and that would cost a lot of money. Teams are probably gonna have to try and invest and figure out which tire is the best, and that could lead to some tires having an exclusive deal with certain teams. And I just don't really see a whole lot of positives out of there. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. So
I think it can be good and it can be bad. But I don't know. I prefer if it's just one. I don't like tire wars because they start off cool, they're flashy, they bring in new people, but it reaches a point where they start getting too dangerous and people start to get hurt or killed. And it can maybe attract some IndyCar teams, but it's not the problem with F1, like I said, it's too expensive to get in. IndyCar teams can look at it, they can maybe throw one of their drivers to do a test or something, but they can't enter F1 that easily. The only IndyCar team that I could see doing it is Penske, but he has said that he does not care about Formula One. Penske is the only team in pretty much all of like American motorsport to have over $3 billion in like their bank account. They're the only team to be in the billions, I believe. So they're the only one that I can see, but Roger Penske doesn't care about Formula One. He's focused on building up IndyCar to become a huge motorsport. And it's working right now. It's expanding. So I just don't see how the new tire manufacturer can bring in new teams right now.
I see where we're going with this. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes because Pirelli really, and we're talking about, the racing on the racetrack, but Pirelli really hasn't put I would say a tire that, can create, better racing. And so we're saying how good the teams are, but another thing is it's on the tire manufacturer. So I hope in the next, in 2023 for the rest of the year and for 2024, Pirelli stepped up their game because they really need to. Because Bridgestone, I bet if I was a guy at Bridgestone, I would bring up all of Pirelli's mistakes and describing ways we can do it better. Yeah. So but talk about doing stuff better. That is Aston Martin's and McLaren's motive right now heading into Austria. Both teams are bringing upgrades, and for Aston Martin, Alonso is confident. And that team has said it's all tied to helping the efficiency under the DRS switch. That's what they think is having an advantage. And this is what Alonso thinks that can really help out Stroll, because he thinks Stroll can finish in the top five, which, let's be honest, he should finish in the top 5 in points with that car. Yeah. But they brought their first major upgrade to Montreal, but could not gather as much data as they wanted due to the CCTV outage. He's hoping that they can battle much closer than they were at Canada, because we saw how close Verstappen and Alonso and Hamilton were, those three up front. They're hoping to be even closer at Austria with even more upgrades, and they also have the sprint they can kind of use as a practice race. So that's the hope for that team. And then for McLaren has been on the ups and ups throughout the last few race weekends. We've seen Piastri first points. They both qualified inside the top 10. I know it was raining, but again, they both qualified inside the top 10.
They had amazing pace in the rain.
That's what I'm saying. So McLaren's getting better and better. And I just think this kind of drop off, you had a veteran in Ricardo leave and you had a rookie come in, so you couldn't really get as much info as you wanted on the car. So I think next season McLaren is definitely going to battle for the top 4, but this season I think it's top half of the points. I think they can easily, go ahead and outscore Alpine. I know Alpine holds ninth. I know Alpine holds ninth and 10th in points, but we really haven't seen a gain from Alpine. That podium is really what's helping them. But I think if McLaren can put both their cars in the points, I think they can catch. Only because Alpine usually only puts really one car in the points. Sometimes they put two, but it's either wreck or one car wrecks, the other one finishes really good, or they both kind of finish just outside.
Yeah, and you got to realize last year, Ocon did more or less what he's doing this year, just consistent finishes, while Alonso was the one that was always battling for like the top 5, maybe even podiums every once in a while. But Alonso had a lot of engine failures. Like
I was about to mention that,
Yeah, he finished behind Ocon in points, even though his average running position was like 3 places better. So that's bad luck from last year. However, this year, I feel like it's a little bit different. I feel like Ocon, yes, is still being consistent. Maybe just slightly worse, but more or less still the same. However, last year, you had Alonso carrying the team. This year, it's Ocon. Gasly is, to my knowledge, a little bit less consistent. He's kind of just all over the place right now.
Yeah, I think because sometimes Canada, he's finished 12th, but I think in the earlier race he finished 7th or whatever. It's been odd.
Yeah, and I mean Ocon has I think double the points of Gasly, but they're only one position apart. If that doesn't tell you the whole story, I don't know what does.
And we could just say it's Gasly getting used to the team. But I feel like, again, this is another Stroll versus Alonso scenario. And I'm going to give Gasly, the benefit of the doubt. It's his first season with a brand new team. He's getting used to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think once Gasly gets more used to that car, and again, this is his first time with this engine. He's always driven, an RBR/Honda engine for his whole career. So I think we just hold off, for now. But really impressive, again, Alexander Albon, 12th in points, believe it or not. So I hope Albon gets the second chance he deserves.
He's doing everything he can in that bad of a car.
He's proven it. I don't know what else to say. Like we even talked about this last week too.
He's just been going for it.
Well,
yeah. And speaking of that, I found earlier today the chart that says the average running position of each driver, and there's a few notable things to look at here. Verstappen, his average running position is 1.03, which is just crazy. It is crazy. He spent 358 laps in the lead this season. It's very hard to imagine that. Another thing to know is that Alonso is the only person in the entire field to have run every single lap this season in the top 10. Another thing that I want to point out is Perez, yes, his position where he's run the longest is first. Yes, that's expected. However, his average running position is almost 4 spots lower than Verstappen. I'm a Perez fan, but that's just not good. That is not something you want to have in a Red Bull. He's behind Alonso and Hamilton, and he's just barely ahead of Sainz. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it also takes into account the times where he's starting in the rear, because he doesn't make Q3 or Q2 because he's done that a fair few amount of times. I think he's had kind of like a streak of that, actually.
And going back to what Jeffrey said about McLaren going at Alpine, Alpine's average running position sits 8th and 10th on the grid, while McLaren is 12th and 13th out of everyone. And surprisingly, Piastri is ahead of Norris. Piastri is ahead of Norris. That is pretty crazy to me. And the last thing that I want to point out is, oh no, two last things I want to point out. Logan Sargent has run almost every lap this season outside of the top 10. Only a few have been ran within the top 10. Same as DeVries. Same as DeVries. Just that DeVries has a 1.5 better spot than Sargent in average running position. Sargent's average running position is 17.01. Most of the teammates on the grid are very close to each other, barring Aston Martin and AlphaTauri and Williams.
Okay, you said most, and you named 3 teams that way.
Well, that's 30%. But the point is, a lot of the teams are pretty close. But yeah, it's concerning to see some people run that bad. DeVries has disappointed me so much. Sargent, not that much. I didn't expect much from him in the first place.
Yeah. I didn't expect much from Williams anyway, but then there's Albon kind of showing him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? And with that said, we're going to talk about a driver that has hopes for Formula One, as Alex Palou. Wow, there's no IndyCar news this week, and nothing big popped up. I do want to talk about the move that's guaranteed to happen at the end of the season. While Palou does lead with Chip Ganassi, his hopes for Formula One is what started the contract dispute last year with Chip Ganassi and McLaren. At the end of 2023, your championship leader will shift over to McLaren. So my question to you guys, who is going to replace that 10 car? We slightly discussed this, in the past few podcasts, but let's really kind of get on this topic. If you had 3 guys right there, 3 realistic options, who are you picking?
Man, it's tough. It's really tough to fill a seat that good.
Yes.
But like, there's many different ways you can go with it. You can say, "Oh, I'm going to go for an already established driver," or you can go for someone who you think is still proving themselves. For example, you could go with an easy option, that being Scott McLaughlin, stealing him out from under.
I don't see that's happening.
I don't see that happening.
That would be a very long shot.
Pato Award is another one that you could steal. A trade sort of, but I don't see that one happening either.
I want to bring up an up and coming driver, Marcus Armstrong.
Yeah,
I was America. He was running very well near the lead group. So I would definitely bring him on for the full season. See what he can do.
And an underrated one, in my opinion, is Christian Lundgaard.
That's what I was gonna say, bro. Oh
yeah, he's been in not so great equipment. And he's 11th in points, ahead of a lot of people who have better equipment than him. And I think, in my opinion, if I was a team owner, I'd go with Christian Lundgaard, simply because he's been in the car long enough now to know what pressure feels like.
There's an issue with that, though.
What?
Lundgaard doesn't carry any sponsorship with him. Palou carried NTT and American Legion. I think American Legion will stay. And that's why NTT is sponsoring currently McLaren in the 7th. I think what's currently going to happen in the McLaren situation is Rossi's going to move to the 6th with Palou going to the 7th. But here's my options off the table. First, like you said, Marcus Armstrong, Christian Lundgaard. But I got 2 more I don't think anyone's looking at. One, Felix Rosenqvist. He's been running good this season in the McLaren, just outside the top 10 in points. And he's had flashes of good runs like the Indianapolis 500 and getting his podium at Detroit. I think that's what you look at. And I think, let's go over the F2. And there's some drivers that I think could make the jump if they don't get moved up. Because, some of these drivers,
Liam Lawson?
Again, I think Liam Lawson, that's an excellent choice. I think Liam Lawson would be perfect. I think he's actually done some IndyCar tests, if I'm not mistaken, in the past. I think previous F2 driver and IndyCar driver currently Callum Ilott would be a perfect a perfect choice. And
BK.
I honestly think Theo Pourchaire. And now you might say, whoa, 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 whoa. That is a shot in the dark. I don't think if Theo is moved up by the end of this year, I think he goes somewhere else. He's been in F2. I can't even say how long he's been in F2. He's been there so long. I think he could win the championship this year, but I don't see what Alfa Romeo is going to do, or Sauber. You're going to cut Bottas, the veteran, or Guan Yu Zhou, who is looking more and more likely like an up and coming star. You have two really talented drivers. I don't know who you get rid of in that scenario. I don't even know where you would put Theo Pourchaire.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you're not realizing is, yes, Theo has been in F2 since 2020. However, he was 16 when he entered F2. He's still 19. He's turning 20 soon. And I don't think he should throw away his Formula One hopes yet. He's very young. And if he goes to IndyCar, he will have success. But if the option for Formula One is still on the table, and I know that's what he wants, I just don't see why someone would let that go. I would always choose IndyCar over F1, but I know a lot of people wouldn't. Plus, it pays more. So,
but how long do you wait? That's the question.
Until you become a champion, I guess, in F2.
I mean, that's what Nick de Vries did, and I think Nick de Vries made an awful choice. I know he's in Formula One right now, and that's his dream, right? But I think he could have just, instead of Formula E, gone to IndyCar, and I think he could have, because I think he could have proved a lot more. Because in IndyCar, right? Many say it's the equivalent of F2. I think it's a little bit above F2, and I think the FIA should award more points for it. I think if not more, the exact same points as F2. But Formula E is just, I think, a downgrade. I know you're racing against previous F1 drivers or F1 hopefuls, but I don't think that's the way to go. And so that's my worry for Theo. I don't think it's going to work out if he just continues to wait and wait and wait. That's my take.
Yeah. I think he should give it 1 or 2 more years, but I can see where you're coming from.
Hey guys, welcome to the picks segment for hitting the curbs. First up is the NASCAR picks for the NASCAR street course. The first street course at Chicago. It's 100 laps around the street course for the Grant Park 220. And some notable drivers racing. Jenson Button is back in the 15. In the 91 is Van Ginsberg. Ginsbergen, forgot an N at the end. SVG, baby. The best Red Bull driver this weekend. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Jimmy Johnson had to withdraw. Andy Lally is in the 51 as well. And I would, and that's all your road course ringers. You could say, again, Eddie Allmendinger, but he's full time, so I'm not going to toss him in there. But with that said, let's start on our picks. I won one spot short of having an extra point, but I won Martin Truex Jr. The random roll did not do David well as he finished last with Chase Briscoe, and Hector had Kevin Harvick. So, David, this week you go first. Who is your pick for the Chicago Street Course?
Well, let's see here. There are definitely some good choices, especially looking towards the Chevy camp. And I mean, personally, I'm going to take AJ Allmendinger. I think that since it's being a street course, I think that AJ Allmendinger could definitely pull some crazy magic up. I think it's possible for AJ Allmendinger to win at Chicago.
Okay. You, Hector, who is your pick?
Man, it's tough. I was choosing in my head between 3 people: Harvick, Blaney, Byron. Blaney is not great at road courses, so that I eliminated him. Then it was between Harvick and Byron. Harvick isn't great at road courses, but he's consistent, so it's something that I have to weigh in. However, Byron, he's pretty good at road courses. I think he's underrated at them, and I have a feeling that he will win this weekend at Chicago, so I'm going to choose William Byron.
Okay, interesting pick. Now for me, I'm stuck between two younger drivers. I feel like the younger drivers are going to have the advantage because, well, they haven't had as much experience on the track. So this is a very bold pick, but whenever this driver went to this track for the first time, he either won it or he kind of wrecked out trying to win it. I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs. First time in Daytona, road course, won it. Portland got wrecked by a lapper. That kind of started his downfall after that. In his first start, he would have won that. In his first start at Charlotte Motor Speedway, I know that's not a road course, but he won that. So if you're looking for a driver who's going to tracks for the first time, and everyone is today, or this week, not today, it is Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is my pick to win. I think we've been talking about underdogs, and that's one right there.
Well, real quick, I want to mention something. Mm-hmm. Joey Logano, in my opinion, is the best person when it comes to new things. And we've seen that year in, year out. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
You do have some. I got distracted for a second. With that said, let's go to F1. Now George Russell decided to quit, so David's gonna go first. I picked Max Verstappen, so I'm there too, and then Hector just Checo. Yeah, so I'm not even sure Checo's the easy number 2 as it was this season. So David, you go first.
For Formula One, man, I don't know, that Max Verstappen guy. He's looking pretty good though. I might have to steal him. He's looking pretty good, man. I don't know. He might even win this. Get a good top 5.
Nice.
Man, Verstappen is everyone's first pick, but there's a guy who's finished second a couple times in the last few years who I believe deserves a win.
Just pick him already.
I mean, he's won a lot in the past. Maybe
just pick Alonso already.
I think Lewis Hamilton will win. He sounds pretty good from the last few years. I don't know much about the guy, but
yeah,
it's not like he's a GOAT.
Real underdog, you know.
Yeah,
bro, Ralph Schumacher's the GOAT. First of all, anyways, I'm gonna go with Alonso, and yeah, that's about it. But I don't think you have to explain why Alonso.
Yeah,
there's only like 3 guys. Well, there's 4. There's 4 guys. Russell's in there. It's just Verstappen, Mercedes, and Alonso. That's about it. But that's at IndyCar. So I got Roman Grosjean, and as Roman Grosjean does, he likes to wreck. So I get the pick first with now we did not verify if Newgarden finished ahead. We don't need to, but I still will, just in case, because I'm not sure Mr. David here wants his first pick. But I'm nearly positive that Grosjean finished below Newgarden. Yeah, Newgarden got second, but David almost won it last week.
Yeah, we were close. No cigar, of course.
Close, but no cigar. So Mid-Ohio is a track that I would say just Newgarden is probably the best at, but that's not going to be my pick. McLaren has been on a down, and there is one. Do I even have to say which driver from McLaren I'm picking?
No, you don't.
Felix Rosenquist is going to be my pick for Mid-Ohio. I have hopes in the number 16. Hector does agree with me. Again, you didn't even have to think about who you're going to choose on the McLaren team.
I mean,
I have to go with Felix Rosenquist. You know, I feel like that's what the courts are built for him. He's really good at he's really good at just having the wheel flow. And Mid-Ohio is a very flowing track. I have my bet on Felix Rosenquist. Now that might not be the best pick because Alex Palou is an option, but again, Alex Palou's winning streak has to come to an end at some point.
Yeah,
that luck will come around.
Right.
But it's still June, and yeah. But with that pick, David, you're next. So you can stop Hector from taking one.
Alex Palou's winning streak will come to an end, but Chip Ganassi's won't. I say Scott Dixon is winning Mid-Ohio.
I like what you did there. I
got the enthusiasm. Hope it works.
Man, It's tough for me between two Chip Ganassi guys.
Just pick Alex Palou,
no. Listen. It was 3 for me. Dixon was actually the person I was going for. However,
sure, bud.
No, I'm not kidding. But then it came down between Ericsson and Palou for me. I think, in my mind, I can see Ericsson sweeping it this weekend. However, can I trust him? Can I really trust in him to win this weekend? And I'm gonna have to say no. I think Alex Palou, he got second here last year.
Okay. End the show, guys.
He's gonna gain one more
You like to
spot.
run things out, don't you? Well, thank you for...
but like, hear me out on that. He's gonna gain one more spot this year.
Thank you for tuning into the podcast. I could have cut you guys off a little bit earlier because Hector Garcia is basic. He doesn't like to be interesting at all. Talking about interesting.
I didn't choose Joseph Newgarden this time, so
hey,
I'm different.
Nice job. But that said, make sure to tune in next week. And later this month, interview, baby. Jesse Wuji, it will be me.
Yes, sir.
Because Hector is on taking a hiatus and David is working. So
gotta get that Sigma grind set,
unless David wants to tune in some Lowe's. My food is here. I've been waiting. I'm a hungry guy, and then I'm gonna head to the gym. I should have we could have just cut this off a while ago. Okay. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.